The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is reshuffling the deck, so to speak, their cabinet for the first time since the killing of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Former Finance Minister Ibrahim al-Assaf will now lead the foreign ministry, replacing Adel al-Jubeir. The move is thought to be, in part, from increased pressure from the United States. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump is returning from a surprise visit to troops in Iraq. Trump told a crowd of U.S. troops that as forces return from Syria, the U.S. will be watching ISIS and Iran.
There will be a strong, deliberate, and orderly withdrawal of U.S. forces from Syria. Very deliberate, very orderly, while maintaining the U.S. presence in Iraq to prevent an ISIS resurgence and to protect U.S. interests, and also to always watch very closely over any potential reformation of ISIS, and also to watch over Iran. We'll be watching.
We'll be watching. Reports are also growing that thousands of forces will be pulled from Afghanistan as the government and Taliban look to strike a peace deal. For more on all of this, we turn to former Pentagon official Michael Maloof. Hello, Michael. Good to see you again.
Very much, Steve.
All right, so let's talk about this. When Donald Trump says the troops will be pulled to protect our national security, it goes beyond just saying, I want to bring them home. Do you read anything into this, that if we pull troops out of Syria and we pull troops out of Afghanistan, that A, maybe they wind up in Iraq and they're still able to strike, or B, maybe they're preparing for something else?
The troops are going to remain in the area. They're all special forces, and you're going to need special forces for something larger. I think that they're being repositioned, and my concern is that with the pullout of the troops both from Afghanistan and Syria, you're going to look to watch if he's going to pull out any troops out of South Korea. And the fact that he mentioned Iran is something I think we need to be concerned about. Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, was very unhappy with the U.S. pullout of Syria, thinking that it was an impediment to Iran coming to the Mediterranean. Well, they're already there. The reality is that he's doing more provocations now, just in Syria, just in recent days, over Lebanon. I think things are brewing, and I think that Trump will be using these troops ultimately for something bigger in Iran, potentially against Iran at the beginning, maybe just after the beginning of the year.
Is that the logic behind all this? Because I can't figure out why, you know, with everybody on both sides of the aisle seeming to be against the move. And I've heard silence from people like John Bolton, who I imagine is not happy with this, and of course Mattis resigned over it. I'm trying to figure out what's the method to the madness. It can't be the conversation with the Turkish president who said get out, and he said sure, I'll get out, good idea. There has to be more to it, right?
Of course there is, but he's not going to telegraph his moves, just like the pullout of Syria. He didn't telegraph that at all. Caught everybody by surprise. The fact that Bolton is quiet, I think, is problematic. I think that it's going to be one in which we're going to, in which he's got to placate not only Netanyahu but Bolton, and Iran seems to be the target.
Okay, so let's move on and let's talk about Saudi Arabia. Sure. They made their first move today, really, in their little shakeup. Is this the scapegoat now, the foreign minister, who's out because he basically from the beginning did his job and what he was told to do and said, oh, it was nothing, blah, 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 and now he's being punished by the king? Is that it? And is he the scapegoat? Is he the one where it all falls on now?
Yeah, it's all show. He had very little to do with that, even though the foreign ministry, the embassy, the consulate was under the foreign ministry. He had nothing to do with it. This is more of a getting people out who are not members of the close to the family, close to the present king, and this actually represents more of a consolidation of power of Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince. And if you look at the consolidation and the reshuffling that's occurring, it's actually emboldening him more, but it's all to show face that changes are being made to placate the U.S., but in fact, it's actually consolidating bin Salman's power.
And you know, some time has elapsed now since the murder of Khashoggi. So where are we? The United States, I mean, the Senate has toyed with some bills of condemnation, and Trump has been very clear that he doesn't believe that it's in our national interest to end the relationship, and not just because of the money with the planes and oil, as the military hardware, as everybody says, but strategically, and again, going against what he described as evil in Iran. So my question is, the United States, rest of the world, have they suffered any punishment, quote unquote, for policy changes, and will there be any going forward as we get more and more removed from the time of the murder?
I envision more of a consolidation of U.S.-Saudi support. Again, this was all a reshuffling to show that things were being done, but in reality, I think bin Salman will remain as long as the king certainly is there, unless someone from within wants to create a coup of some kind, which is becoming less and less possible at this point. But Saudi Arabia has offered, and Trump has mentioned the fact that Saudi Arabia will assist in reconstruction in Syria, and particularly on the east of the Euphrates. That consolidates the Sunnis, of which Saudi Arabia is in charge. So we're seeing a greater consolidation of that power, and then that this allows the United States then to divert attention in other directions. And again, I think it could ultimately be Iran, and that will serve bin Salman's purposes as well. So I think after the beginning of the year, I would look for greater uncertainty.
Michael, great to talk to you, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.